Nigerians may have to cope with power outage a little longer as the national electricity grid suffered another system collapse on Tuesday, the second incident within 2 days. The grid had collapsed on Monday at 10:40 a.m., leading to power outage across the country. But in a message to its customers, Ikeja Electric said the grid collapsed again at about 5:10 p.m. on Tuesday. The Ikeja Electricity Distribution PLC also announced the second collapse incident and said its customers in 5 states will be affected. The development comes as Nigerians are experiencing epileptic power supply amid a hike in the prices of diesel and petrol. While the grid has experienced disruptions in recent months, it collapsed in February, May, July and August 2021. Now let's get more insight into this by speaking with the National Electricity Regulatory Commission, former chairman, Dr. Sam Amadi, who's joining me to speak more on this. Well, it's well over 125 times the power grid has actually collapsed in not less than 7 years. What do you know is the problem to this power sector?
Well, I think it's one thing to say what's the problem of the blackout for the power sector. Clearly, what's happening now, the total collapse of the grid arises usually from disruptions in the value chain, largely transmission, which can also come because of low generation or poor uptake of power by disco. So in this case, we know that before now, had serious constraint in power supply in terms of about over 1,000 megawatts lost because the hydros are down. We didn't plan well to power plants. And again, gas supply is a problem. Transmission is weak. Discos have issues. Embed is blaming generators have been embedded for crushing debt. So, but everything, the reason for this is that the sector is still very weak, frail, and once in a while, it's going to have its consequence. And again, it points, in my view, the failure of leadership at the level of policy, the ministry, or regulation to incentivize each of these sectors. For example, gas suppliers, part of what we've been doing over the years, even with the petroleum sector, is to create bankability with gas by improving the gas tariff as well as payment of gas debts. So if that's not happening, and gas people don't want to supply, then that's another problem. Now, in terms of mounting debts to the generators who are not being paid because the discos are not remitting. It's also a failure of regulation in terms of benchmarking and forcing discos to do better, both in their performance to customers and also in payment for power received. So any of these, all these boils down to the notion of failure of leadership. So I think really that even though this is scandalous, the level of outage and the duration was long and the frequency, but they all point to the fact that this system is still very frail. Nothing has been done significantly to improve in terms of building the resilience and the integrity of the sector, transmission, distribution.
Well, Dr. Madi, I'm having a bit of a difficulty to get some of the things that you're saying, but one of the major problems that Nigerians are actually facing, especially within the federal aspect of it, is lack of communication, regulation, accountability, and communication among some of these all these major sectors. But another thing is that Nigerians are always groaning, complaining on social media. So we begin to ask, where is the place of the National Electricity Regulatory Commission in all of this, at least to ensure that the consumers are protected because of the crazy bills they get?
I think it's their primary responsibility to do the communication. I mean, once next job is to ensure that customers get power. They may not be the one creating the power, they're not the generator, but that's their primary responsibility, is to ensure that customers get reliable, affordable power. So if there's a disruption, as we've seen in the last couple of months, his next primary responsibility to be in the streets, to use all means to explain to the customers what is happening. And then NEC will mandate their service provider disclose. And some of them have done that to issue out, public notice. But NEC has to explain it from a system perspective. This is what's going on. And these are the efforts we are putting on ground to ensure that we provide relief for customers very quickly. So It's a major failure if the regulator is not stepping up to the plate to provide communication, to give assurances, and also to ensure that each of the role players in the market play their role to quickly get over this crisis and maybe deal with the cause of the underlying causes. So yes, I agree with you. It will be a failure of regulation if the regulator is not respect to consumer. But I see some sense of caution here.
Yeah.
The regulator seems to be pulling back and asking the discos to do the job, which is good. Discos have to respect their customer, then the primary person. But the regulator should be on top of this and should be doing that more often.
Right. Former NERC Chairman, Dr. Sam Amadi, thank you so much for our insights. We'll try to keep close tabs with you and ensure that consumers are really protected in this line of, getting services from the federal government and the privatized industry. Thank you so much for speaking with us.